Warm welcome to everyone at Learning with Legends, Downs but Not Down, End the Stereotype. I'm myself Dr. Vrushali Sarode. I'm pediatrician from Jhargaon. I would like to welcome our expert Dr. Nyandev Chopde sir, President Down Syndrome Association India, our moderator Dr. Jayan Shah sir, EBM, Executive Board Member of Maha AP, Nandurbar, the respected President Sir Maha AP Dr. Ram Gopal Sir, Secretary Maha AP Dr. Amol Pawar Sir, our guest of honor Dr. Basav Sir, and all office bearers and also MMC observer Dr. Sanjay Gosavi. Today is World's Down Syndrome Day, and purpose of this webinar is to create the awareness among the caregivers. I would like to recite the beautiful poem on this occasion. My face may be different, but my feelings are same, and I take a pride in my gains. I was sent here among you to teach you to love, as God in heaven looks down from above. To him, I am no different. His love knows no bounds. It's those here among you in cities and towns that judge me by my standards that man has imparted. But this family I have chosen will help me get started, for I am one of the children so special and few that came here to learn the same lessons as you. That love is acceptance. It must come from the heart. We all have same purpose, though not the same start. The Lord gave me life to live and embrace, and I will do as you do, but at my own pace. Uh, I request our respected Maha AP President Dr. Ram Gopal sir to say a few words.
Yeah. Thank you. Good evening, friends, and welcome to the second episode of Learning from the Legend. Today is the World's Down Syndrome Day. So, on the occasion, I welcome our today's legend, Dr. Chopde sir, and our guest of honor, Dr. CIP President, Dr. Basav Raja sir. On this day, we all are eager to listen to our legend. So, I will not take much time. At the same time, we all are eager to hear our President Basav Raja sir also. So, over to Vrishali. You can start the proceedings.
So I would request Dr. Amol Pawar sir to say a few words. Secretary Maha AP.
Thank you. Rushali, you have just this thing. You told the wonderful poem on occasion of Down syndrome, and it has to be noted by all the caregivers. Today, I welcome our expert legend, today's speaker, Dr. Nyandev Chopde sir. Last year, also on the same day, we have in the afternoon session, we have a webinar. He might be remembering, and that on that day, one of the Downs this thing adolescent or Downs adult, he is doing job in 5-star hotel, and he also came at Maha AP webinar, and he also presented his topic along with his in front of his staff and parents also. So again, this year also I welcome Nyandev Chopde sir, then moderator Dr. Jayan Shah sir, who is executive board member of Maharashtra IAP, presidents National IAP. In the afternoon, Dr. J.U. Basavaraja sir, president of National IAP. We have witnessed a wonderful program, IAP Ki Baat Community Ke Saath, and it was on Down syndrome, Down's caregivers only. I welcome all the dignitaries, Dr. Jitendra Gawane sir, Manjusha Sherkar ma'am, chairperson, Ram Gopal Chedara sir, and all the delegates for this second session of Learning with Legends. First session we had Dr. Yardi sir, Nandan Yardi sir, who is pediatric neurologist, and this is second session. So this Learning with Legends will continue in each month, and without wasting time, I will hand over to Rushali. But first, I welcome Dr. J.U. Basavaraja sir. J.U. Basavaraja sir is president of National IAP, current president, and he is on missionary mode this year. He was called mitochondria of National IAP during his secretarialship, and he's a wonderful human being. And this year he is on mission with, he wants to take IAP at community level, and already the mission has been started with anemia, then obesity, and now today with Downs. So now he is also called as nucleus of IAP. So I welcome Dr. J.V. Basavaraja sir and ask him to have a few words with us. Sir.
Thank you very much, Dr. Amulji. So really, the MAHA-AP is one of the most active state branch of Indian Academy of Pediatrics, which is doing a wonderful work and aligning with the central IAP in all the academic activities. Really, this is one thing which is making a big thing across the India. So, President Dr. Ramesh Ram Gopal Chejraji and Secretary Dr. Amul Pawar. So, we're not only doing the great work at the Maharashtra level and at the national level too. So, it is a role model for other state branches also. Down syndrome is a relatively a common genetic disorder which is having a social discrimination. So our job of Indian Academy of Pediatrics to bring the Down syndrome and to address not only the theme of this Down Syndrome Day celebration is recognize early, empower the children of Down syndrome to the so that they can lead a quality of life. So Indian Academy of Pediatrics today is launched in a program IAP के बाद community के साथ with the four objective in mind. One is create awareness of regarding a Down syndrome. Previously, the life expectancy of a Down syndrome was in a single digit. Now, today we have achieved it to the stage of an almost to the 60 years. That's one of the greatest achievement in the medical advancement which has been there. That we need to create an awareness regarding Down syndrome. Second thing, how do we recognize the Down syndrome early? That is another thing. Using a biochemical test as well as ultrasonography, prenatal diagnosis, so that we can take measures to prevent it. That is the second thing. Third thing is counseling is one of the important thing where the pediatric parents of a Down syndrome and the children of in the quality of a life. The fourth important thing where the members and our branch developmental delay, where basically screening and addressing these issues, and deafness is another thing which is likely to be there, and disorders like an hypothyroidism and all, screening and detecting them early, detecting an leukemia, which these are the patients which is prone to be. So all these things where pediatricians can play a bigger role in that way. IAP has already shared in all the things which is related to the Down syndrome. My humble request with all the members of Indian Academy of Pediatrics to share that with your patients and also share with the press wherever it is possible using your local influencers. And also we have shared in almost all the
देखा क्या मैंने आपकी बात कृपा करके एक दिया
Wait. We'll wait for 1 minute and then we'll. I think he is locked up. Vrushali, please continue.
Now I would like to request Dr. Gawane sir, EBM member Dr. From Navi Mumbai, to say few words. Gawane sir.
Yeah, good evening, friends. We know that today it's a special day in our heart. Last year also, sir came and we witnessed adult Downs was seen by pediatrician and now well settled in life. As Basavaraja sir said, life expectancy has gone up to 64 years. So we have more responsibilities of settling down these children in the community so that everyone accepts them as it is. Although they are little slow, but they are a human being also, as narrated by Vrishali in her poem. So 21st of March, that is trisomy 21, because third month of 21 day we celebrate Down Syndrome Day. So my best wishes to Maha AP for this program, and over to you, Roshali.
Thank you, sir. Sir, now I would like to hand over to our moderator, Dr. Jayant Shah, sir, who is executive board member, Maha AP Nandurbar, to conduct a further session.
Thank you very much, Dr. Vrishali, and
Thank you.
good evening, everybody. And Vrishali, very, very nice poem, eye opener for everybody. And it is now my privilege to introduce first our expert, Dr. Gnandev Chopde sir, who is well known in this area in his field of genetics. And I would like to share a slide of his introduction. And is the slide visible there?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So, sir is the director of Genetic Health and Research Center, Nashik. He is the president, Down Syndrome Care Association of India, director, Medical Education and Research Foundation. He is director, Museum Koham, secretary, Indian Society for Training and Development, Nashik chapter. He is member of PCPNDT Advisory Board, Maharashtra. He is consultant, MUHS, Nasik. Chairman in Institutional Ethical Committee, Postgraduate Institute of Medical Sciences and Research, Nashik. He has got many awards, includes Dr. Vasantrao Gupta Memorial Award, IMA Nashik, Dr. Suresh Nadkarni Award, Maharashtra State IMA, and Excellence in Medical Genetics International Award. And he has authored a book called Chromosomal Variations, and he is an expert in this field. And I'm sure that we will be having a very fruitful and knowledgeable discussion with sir. And welcome, sir. And this time we have decided that we will have a little informal talk and question answer type of a thing, in which most of the questions of local pediatricians would be answered, and which will be useful in even day-to-day practice of the pediatricians. So welcome, sir. I would request you to unmute.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
So let us start with our discussion. And the common question that comes to most of the people's mind is, how common is Down syndrome overall, globally, and especially in India, if we have any data about it?
All right. So about Down syndrome incidence, if we look at the overall world incidence, it is given to be about 1 in 1,000. And in India, very few studies are stating the incidence as 1:800. If we see different countries like some of the Middle East countries, the incidence is stated to be around even 1 in 400, 1 in 500 also. So it is variable. But on an average, it is more than 1 in 1,000 in the world.
Yes. Okay. And now the next question is, what causes this? We know that this is trisomy 21, one thing, but what is the reason why it is happening? Is it inherited thing, or it is just occurs spontaneously?
Yeah, so actually, if we look at the classification of the Down syndrome based on the chromosomal variations, we see only the translocation cases can be seen inherited, whereas the mosaic Down syndrome and the free trisomy Down syndrome, they are not seen inherited as such. So we say this is a spontaneous aneuploidy created, and we really don't know what is the cause for that. There are some of the cases, like when I was working in Grand Medical College in 1998, I saw one family where there were 4 babies consecutively born, 4 babies born with free trisomy 21. And there are some of the families with us which are where we have consecutive 2 babies born with free trisomy 21. So I think there is a lack of literature actually looking at what is the genetic. There must be something which causes this increased possibility of aneuploidies in such cases, what we call as non-essential, but we really don't know it as yet.
Okay. So, okay, there are many things science has not yet known. So this is
Yeah.
one of the things. Yes. Okay, fine. So now, what is the risk of having a baby with Down syndrome? This is for any pregnancy also, and for a pregnancy subsequent to a child who is already one child is Down syndrome, and the next pregnancy, if there is a difference in the risk, or for any pregnancy, the risk is the same.
Right. So if you look at the different scenarios, like in general population, the risk as we're talking about, like the 1 in 1,000 or 1 in 800, for all common women, right? So for which there is a not national program, but nearly in all pregnancies, we are advocating the prenatal screening procedures. In cases where there is a specific condition like advanced maternal age, or there are certain sonography markers, or there is a history of Down syndrome in the family, the risk varies. Where in families there is a previous baby with Down syndrome, it depends on the karyotype of the baby and the parents also. So in cases where we see that the parents are the carriers of some translocations, depending on what type of translocation it is, the risk varies from 1% to nearly about 15%. And again, depending on whether it is coming from mother or father. In cases, maximum cases, where we say the karyotype is about free trisomy 21, the recurrence risk is not more than 1%.
Okay. And the risk is more if the mother or father both are having that particular problem.
So if we look at the extreme case where one of the parent is a translocation carrier for 21-21, what we call as homologous translocation, there is 100% risk. In cases where there is translocation between 21 and other, you can say the chromosomes like 13, 14, 15 or 22, the risk varies from 1 to 15%, as I said.
So if this is present in mother, the chances are more compared to father. Is it so?
Yes, yes. If it is in mother, the translocation, the risk is more.
Thank you, sir. Now, is there any screening process to detect it in utero so that it can be prevented? And if it is, what is the screening test if it is available?
Right. So if we look at the scenario, if we, as I usually say, like there is a world of Down syndrome, right? And if we actually look into the world of Down syndrome, we'll see that most of this world is occupied by the prenatal screening procedures. Nearly all pregnancies are screened for Down syndrome risk. And there are biochemical screening procedures like maternal blood is taken, and certain screening procedures like double marker, triple marker, or quadruple marker tests are done. There are sonography specific screening programs. So based on these programs, we come to know whether a particular lady, a pregnant woman, is at higher risk of having a baby with Down syndrome. Now, apart from this regular screening procedures, we now have come up in the last few years with the NIPT, what we call as non-invasive prenatal screening and testing, where the accuracy of the test is much more, about 99% accuracy is there, where we can detect the baby with Down syndrome. So regularly it is happening and all over the world. And India also, in every antenatal clinic, you will see that the prenatal screening procedures are being done.
So is this test easily available? Or?
It is easily available. Every gynecologist is doing it.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Now the question is, if it is diagnosed in utero, should the pregnancy be continued or should it be aborted? What are the legal implications? And also we have to take into account the parents' emotions. So how do we take everything into consideration together and take a decision? Of course, ultimately the decision will be the parents, but yet how can we counsel them?
Yeah. So here I would definitely like to elaborate on a little. So one aspect is screening, whereby we come to know who is at higher risk. And once we pick up who are at higher risk, we go for the definitive testing, like the chorionuclear sampling, amniocentesis, and then the FISH or karyotype testing. And then we find out who is having actually the baby with Down syndrome. Now, those who are having a baby with Down syndrome, actually they are counseled before the procedure itself that if the baby is found to be having trisomy 21, we are going to terminate the pregnancy. Actually, that's the purpose of the prenatal diagnostic procedures.
Yes.
Right? And in cases, those parents who are not willing to terminate, which is actually counseled before the testing, we don't go for the testing itself.
Right, right.
Then we can take care of the baby even after birth.
Okay.
Right?
Right.
See, in India particularly, the chaos is created because nearly every gynecologist is performing the screening procedure, and where the risk comes higher, the proper counseling is not happening.
Okay.
They say that the baby is a higher risk, and there is a lot of, you can say, pressure created on the pregnant mothers. In many cases, without actually looking for the definitive testing, they are going for terminations. That's a very, you can say, pathetic situation in the world of Down syndrome. So we definitely have ways of preventing it, but especially when the parents are willing for termination. There are certain families who don't really want to terminate the pregnancy or who would like to have a child with Down syndrome also.
Okay.
So in such cases, we need not go for the prenatal testing.
Right. And in India, termination medico-legally is allowed.
It is allowed. It is allowed up to 20 weeks definitely, and now the court says it is up to 24 weeks also. It is possible.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. And now suppose the baby is born, and so at birth, how can a pediatrician or a neonatologist diagnose that this child has Down syndrome just by having those phenotypic markers or something else? How
Yeah.
should we go about it?
So in my opinion, most of the babies born with Down syndrome are easily picked up by the neonatologists and the pediatricians at birth. Still, some of the babies they skip. And I have seen in my practice even children up to the age of 3 and 4 years not diagnosed with Down syndrome, but like suspicion is there, and then they are referred to the geneticist for further testing. So it is, if we look at the typical picture of a Down syndrome, what a Down syndrome is, it is very easy to diagnose Down syndrome just by looking at the face. Most of the babies are identifiable. In very few cases where the phenotype is, you can say, very mild, like the face appears to be a little variant from the normal, but there are certain features, there are certain markers. So one thing is for sure that every pediatrician must have a clear understanding of the phenotype of Down syndrome. And whenever there is a slight, you can say, suspicion, we can go for the testing. Testing is easy now, it is very cheap also comparatively. So there is no possibility of skipping or missing any child with Down syndrome.
So if you suspect, you get the testing done.
Get the karyotype done immediately.
Karyotyping done.
Yeah.
Probably some mosaic cases, etc., might not be picked up
Yes.
just by clinical this thing. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. And supposing the antenatal diagnosis was not done, the baby is born, and the doctor suspects that this is Down syndrome, then how to break this news to the parents? Because then they will be little disturbed. They will say that we have already done the sonographic and other testing in pregnancy, but that was not picked up. Then how should a pediatrician approach?
Right. So there are cases where you see like prenatal screening is done, all marker tests are done, sonography is done, and doctor says the baby is normal, and the baby is born with Down syndrome. That is one scenario. And in another scenario, like the test was prescribed, the screening was prescribed, or after screening, the definitive test was prescribed, and the patients didn't do that. Right? And the baby is born with Down syndrome. So there are two different emotionally charged situations.
Yes.
In cases where the screening procedures were done and doctors say that the baby is absolutely fine and normal and the baby is born with Down syndrome, this is where actually there is a chaos created because parents are shocked and even the doctor is shocked, right? And what we tend to do as the doctor says, we tend to hide it, that this is our mistake. Actually, this is not a mistake of anyone. What mistake happens is when we say that the screening procedures are normal, that is actually the mistake. There is no screening procedure ever going to be normal. It's going to be low risk or high risk, that's all. Risk is always there. So if we counsel properly that we are doing this screening test just to pick up the cases who are at high risk, and if the report comes to be low risk, even then there is a risk, but we are not going for definitive testing. In such cases, we can definitely tell there is a possibility for every woman, even with low risk, to have a baby with Down syndrome. That is one thing. To break the news, like in my opinion, like when we suspect, we are not sure, or even if we are sure, we should not say that the baby is Down syndrome or the baby is going to be like this. So we can say that it seems to be like this, or I suspect that the baby has something. Let us test and then find out. So
Yeah.
they get some period where parents can adjust to the possibility. And once the report comes, then I tend to give the complete information. Better it is that they get to know as early as possible. Better it is that they get shocked as early as possible. Better it is that they come out of the shock as early as possible, so that we can provide and offer all the associated and the available facilities.
Very well said, sir. Now you've already told us about the different types, but just tell us in detail about the genetics of the Down syndrome.
Right,
Okay.
right. Yeah. So we all know that it is caused because of the extra chromosome 21. So the extra chromosome 21 could be either in all the body cells, in all the all the body cells in free copies of chromosome 21, right? That is one common chromosomal abnormality we see. In about 94% cases, that is same. That is what we call as a free trisomy 21 or common type of trisomy 21, typical trisomy 21. One more type is what we call as mosaic trisomy 21, whereas some of the body cells are normal, having 46 chromosomes, only 2 copies of 21, and some other body cells, they are having extra copy 21. So in such cases, mosaic cases, depending on what is the abnormal karyotype percentage, the phenotype will vary. So there are cases, mosaic cases with Down syndrome, where there is a very low abnormal cell line. The babies would look like normal mostly. Whereas in cases where the abnormal cell line is too high, maybe about 50%, 60%, then it tends to be nearly the typical Down syndrome. And the third type of Down syndrome we have is a translocation Down syndrome, where when the extra chromosome 21 is attached to any other acrocentric chromosomes, like as I said, maybe chromosome 22, 21, 13, 14, or 15. Now, in such cases, the phenotype is not going to vary. It is not going to be different than the common type of trisomy 21, but the recurrence risk varies depending on if it is coming from the parents.
Oh.
So typically, there are 3 types of Down syndrome. Out of this, what we say is a mosaic is a post-zygotic phenomenon. Means it is not inherited, it is not coming from the parent, but after fertilization, this abnormality is happening.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Now, what are the some medical conditions or the challenges that are faced by individuals with Down syndrome and their parents? Generally, people say that particular child is suffering from Down syndrome, but actually we should be saying that the patient is having Down syndrome. Patient is not suffering from Down syndrome, right, sir?
Yes.
So what are the
Can you hear
medical
me?
what
Am
are
I
the
audible?
medical concerns and problems that they will face or likely to face?
Yes. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, got it. Yeah. So if we look from different perspectives, the medical conditions we all are aware of. Like in our curriculum, we had only few syndromes, we can say, like Down syndrome, Turner syndrome, Klinefelter. We all have gone through that, right? So we are aware of the typical presentation of Down syndrome, typical face, typical stature, the presentation on the hands and the feet, and the overall, you can say, the physical presentation of the child. So mongoloid face we used to call as, right, with a typical round face, depressed nose, macroglossia, small depressed and low placed ears, slanted palpebral features. And then we talked about these the single palmar crease, distance between the great and the second toe. All these are the features that we were talking about. Low height, stubby hands, all that. Now, apart from that, what is most important is not the look. What is important is there is a delay in the development, overall development. Physical, mental, social, all 3 domains, they are delayed. So if you look at all the children with Down syndrome, commonly seen is there is hypotonia, there is muscle weakness. So whatever developmental delay is, most of it is because of the muscle weakness.
Okay.
Right? And apart from that, then they can have the thyroid problem, other endocrinological problem. About 40% of babies, they have the heart defects, some of which are very simple, some of which are very complicated. They can have alimentary tract defects. So they can have literally defect in any kind of system. So if we go through, like, what are the possible deformities or malformations seen in the child with Down syndrome, we'll see none of the system is spared. Every system is involved. But if you look at the total overall picture and the spectrum of Down syndrome, you will see that some of the babies are nearly normal, not having the immunodeficiency, not having the thyroid problem, not having the visual problems, not having thyroid problem, any problem. And at other end, you will see that some of the babies have everything that is described in the literature. So on this picture, on this spectrum of variability, if we are having 100 babies, you will see some of them, they exactly look like the normal and they perform like the normals. Whereas some of them, where it seems to be a really hopeless situation, and we fail ourselves, we actually see it is a hopeless situation for us, for parents, and for the society also to deal with the condition. So there is a varied picture.
So, sir, should we go for screening of all the congenital anomalies when we see a child with Downs and look into, even if clinically we don't suspect it, should we do some investigations for most of the congenital anomalies?
Definitely. So if we look at the on your website, IIP website, I think there is a very well designed plan given for the early intervention, and the regular screening programs are given, right? So as soon as the baby is born, within first 6 months, and then 1 year, and then 2 years, and then 5 years, that way the program is given. So what different kinds of tests are to be done? There are some of the tests which are to be done only once, and some of the tests are done to be repeatedly, so that we pick up the cases as soon as they develop certain kind of, you can say, the abnormalities. Thyroid problem they can develop. Most of them they develop some or the other time. Early we pick up, it is better. So that's why we are checking the thyroid profile maybe 6 monthly in the first year, then yearly, and then 2 yearly. That way we are doing it. At Down Syndrome Care Association India, that organization which I head, we are doing at least once a year. So we are providing all kind of checkup for all the children with Down syndrome once in a year on 21st March. So that we don't actually do, no child is devoid or not tested, that doesn't happen, right? So that is what we are doing.
So I find that most of the Down syndrome children are very loving children, and they like music and all these things we see also, and we have read also. So is this all true?
One thing is for sure, that these people, these children and the individuals are lovely. Does that mean that we are not? One thing we need to understand, that we have a lot of baggage in the background. As we grow, so many things keep happening with us. We keep them in store. And then based on that, what is there on the store, we keep on interacting with people. What should be, what should not be, what is good, what is bad, what is right and what is wrong. All that stuff is there. And based on that, we have developed our attitudes. In these children, actually, if you look at, there is a empty slate.
Nonsense.
You see people like you and me who are actually having the empty slate, right? They are just like the children with Down syndrome. They are just like the newborns. They are just like the 1-year-old. So pure. So it's not that it is something different. It is that they are not having something in their background, in the baggage. There is no lot of, you can't say a lot of baggage they are carrying. Rather, they don't have emotions toward as which are damaging that way, right? And that is one of the reasons why we see they are innocent and very lovely. They love music because we encourage them. It's not that you don't love music. I don't love music. We see that they can do that little, so we encourage them, and they keep on doing that. And when they do that, we pat on their back. Similarly, all the conditions, whatever they do, we can do, and we are doing that. Doesn't mean that they have something, that something is the characteristic of Down syndrome. It is not that characteristic of Down syndrome.
Yes. Very, very well said, sir. So just like we advise that junk should not be eaten, the junk from the our heads also should come out. That's right. Now, sir, what is the average life expectancy of a child with Down?
Unfortunately, in our country, we really don't know. For sure, in the last few decades, life expectancy has increased. The world statistics says life expectancy has increased up to 60 years. So you can see individuals in India also who are living up to 60 and 70. I have seen someone who is at 80 years in Chennai 2 years back. So if you look at the overall life expectancy, when I started working in this area in 2002, actually I'm practicing genetics for the since 1992 when I started my MS in anatomy. And that time, my understanding and the overall observation was that on an average, the life expectancy was only 6 years. Most of the baby used to die immediately after birth. No one was aware. We never cared about, and we ourselves as doctors used to say something bad, unacceptable, and something which was damaging to the parents and the child. Now, over the years, because of the increased, you can say, awareness, increased facilities, life expectancy for sure has increased, and we can expect the child to live at least up to 50-60 years on an average, provided we are supporting the children from all the angles: social, physical, and emotional.
Yes. And in literature, what is the mention of a highest lived person with Down syndrome? Longest
Actually,
lived?
there is one example given, and it is up to 122 years.
Oh,
But then that is actually not the case of Down syndrome. It is mentioned as a child with Down, the person with Down syndrome. Some gene was there from USA. But then later, when it was studied, it is there in the literature given. But when it was later, it was studied, it was confirmed she was not having Down syndrome.
okay.
And there is no other report stating that this is the person lived, the highest lived person there in the. So up to 60-70%, there are a number of reports.
And the quality of life they live, I think that will depend on how much problem that particular individual has, right, sir? So as you said,
Absolutely.
that
So there are a number of factors, sir. One factor, last week I was talking at IIM Nashik Road on epigenetics and spirituality. And I'll tell you, epigenetics plays a tremendous role in our life. It is beyond genes. So whatever we have inherited, the surrounding that we live in, the nurturing that happens, the thoughts that we receive, our beliefs, biases, pollution around, what we drink and what we eat, everything has an impact on the expression of the genes. That is one aspect. So how the child is taken care of, even before the child is born, inside the mother's womb, and after the child is born by the parents, how the child is taken care of from all the angles, how the child is supported in all these spheres, especially in the health sector, that definitely determines the quality of life. Beyond this, there is the rest of the genome. So when we say the rest of the genome, all other genes having the influence on the expression of extra chromosome 21, especially the gene called as SOD1. So there are three factors. One, we can say two factors only. One is the rest of the genome. So you will see families where there is free trisomy 21 in all cells. The baby is born in, you can say, the drastic conditions, and even in such cases, the child is grown well. This is the definite impact of the rest of the genome on the expression of the extra 21. And second is, we see some of the families where in a very low conditions, the baby is born, and parents took care of the child very well, and the child is groomed very, very nicely. So today we had one child with us called as Swayam Patil, who has made a number of international, you can say, the records in swimming. And now he's featuring in one of the movie, Sitare Zameen Par, which is going to be released in December 24. So we have examples in our association and across the country and all over the world where the children with Down syndrome, they have excelled even more than us so-called normals. And this is possible because of the care taken by the parents.
Yes, sir. So ultimately, the environment, the care, and also the physical therapy, etc., all that matters much more.
Definitely.
Yes. Thank you, sir. Now, about the schooling, should they go to a regular school or they need a special type of schooling, and what kind of special teaching or counseling for the teachers should be done and is being done? Because the teachers should also understand the differences and they should modify their teaching accordingly.
Right. So my stake on this is, any child with special abilities, including Down syndrome, should be put up in a regular school. As far as the child can gel with the normal children, that is best for the child, for the society, for the school, for the community, for the parents. When it becomes very difficult because of the lot of gap between the normal and the child, and the normal children, so-called, they are teasing, right? And the teachers are unable to take care of the child. In such situations, it is better to take out the child from the normal school and put in a special school. That is one thing. Second thing, regarding the education policy of these children, Government of India, Government of Maharashtra says that every school has to have a facility for teaching the special children. Unfortunately, this is not exercised. There are very few schools where there are specially trained teachers for dealing with such conditions. What I feel is like more than the academic excellence or the marks and the knowledge that we focus on, what has to be focused on is the individual, that human being that is there with the other kids. So it is not about only the training of the teachers. It is also the creation of the attitude in the peers, in the children with whom this child is put up. Right? And my feeling is for over the last few years, we have been trying to create the inclusive society for these children, and it is really difficult. At school level, it is happening. It is difficult.
So how do we deal with the other children? How it's teachers, at least we can have some classes, but there will be so many other children along with this child. So what is the strategy if you are undertaking?
So
how do we train these children or counsel them?
It is really difficult task, but definitely we can create a kind of space, an environment where children start looking at life something as beautiful, irrespective of the looks, irrespective of the intelligence, irrespective of where they are coming from. So taking away all the, you can say, the differences, and then creating the, you can say, mindset of equality, that is one thing which will take a lot of time. In my opinion, what is most important is parents' outlook. Now, when parents create a space and a listening for their child, as there is nothing wrong with the child, when parents accept the child as it is, without saying that there is something wrong, there is something should not be, there is something right or wrong and good and bad. So when they create an environment where there is ease and grace and full acceptance, there is a possibility that everywhere this will be there, because parent is the space where the children are growing, including the school, including the relatives and the friends and the society around. So parents counseling in this regard. So I have seen some of the parents who are really graceful with these children. They are not hiding, they are not upset. So they were upset for some time, and now they have accepted it as it is, and they are fully aware what is it. They are fully with the child as a child and not as a Down syndrome child. In such cases, you will find there is a tremendous possibility for the child to grow.
Very nice, very nice. So now, tell us about your Down Syndrome Care Association, DSCA, and how does this DSCA support individuals and with their families? What is your organization doing? Please tell us, sir, about it.
Yes, sir. So we started this organization, Down Syndrome Care Association, in the year 2007. And we started this day on 21st March as World Down Syndrome Day in 2007 itself, whereas it was announced by the, you can say, United Nations in the year 2012. We were the first to begin this in India as the World Down Syndrome Day.
Very
now,
nice.
this organization started with a mission to love and care. Mission of love and care for everyone in the world of Down syndrome. Everyone includes the children affected. When we say affected, those who are having Down syndrome, their parents, their families, doctors, community, and all the stakeholders who are related to this. Now, primarily, the aim was to create awareness to such an extent that wherever the child go, the child doesn't experience a barrier about communication. the child is accepted well. That was the basic purpose of starting this. So what we are doing since 2007 is we are actually celebrating this day, World Down Syndrome Day, and creating awareness. That is one thing. Apart from this, we are having number of activities. One is the activity center that we had been running in Nashik, and due to COVID, we had to stop that activity. And now we are again to relaunch the activity in next year, where the children come and we are providing the special education, therapies, the various recreational activities. We are trying to bring the children in the common stream. So that is one of the activity we do. The activity that I do personally, apart from this, is I do provide free counseling to the parents every Friday in the afternoon. So for the last 17 years, I've been doing that. Other than that, we have a number of other activities, but main activities that we are doing is the Activity Center and the World Down Syndrome Days. So people who are in this region in Maharashtra, and some of them from outside Maharashtra also are registered. We have about 600 families registered with us now. Today, we had a huge program in Nashik. There were 100 families from the state and the outside state. And it was really a celebration. Now, I must say something to everyone here. When we talk of the celebration of World Down Syndrome Day, have you given thought to what is that to celebrate? What are we actually celebrating? Are we celebrating that the child has Down syndrome? Are we celebrating that the parents are happy because they have a child with Down syndrome? What are we celebrating? So actually, getting present to life, the way it is not. Getting present that there is a gap, and it's not a gap between normal and the abnormal or normal and the Down syndrome. It's a gap between every individual, a variability we're talking about. The most important thing we need to understand is that we all are alive irrespective of your age, your education, your looks, your caste, creed, positions, irrespective of all that. The biggest thing to celebrate is that you and I are alive. Whether it is child with Down syndrome or the normal child or the adult or the parent or irrespective of all that, celebration is the celebration of life, the way it is not. Yesterday, it was International Happiness Day. How many of us are really present to what happiness is all about? And what does that really mean to celebrate happiness? What does it mean to celebrate the Down syndrome? And let me tell you, after creating this, when parents got present to this possibility of celebrating life, it was such a wonderful moment we experienced today. A hall full of about 300 people. Everyone was really happy, literally happy. So that is what we are doing.
So the greatest gift that we all have is the life itself. So now, sir, tell us that how can a general pediatrician get associated with DSSA, and how can it be integrated in the daily practice?
Yes. So for the last few years, I have been trying to create something with Pediatric Association. Last year, Dr. Amol will tell you that last year we had a discussion on involving the pediatric community in this task. So I'm clear that every pediatrician is doing whatever he's supposed to do in this world, right? They are doing it. So diagnosis कर रहे हैं, काउंसलिंग कर रहे हैं, पेरेंट का टेस्ट कर रहे हैं, सब कुछ कर रहे हैं. जब भी पेरेंट आते हैं बच्चों के साथ में तो उनका हेल्थ केयर जो करना है वो करते हैं. Now, actually, beyond that, there is a very huge, big world of Down syndrome. And if you look at the population, huge population, right? Every year, if you're talking about 25 to 30,000 babies born with Down syndrome in the country, it's a huge population. 1 in 800, big population, right? So, can we do something beyond our routine? So, routinely, whatever we are supposed to do, we are doing. Beyond the routine, we can create certain groups at district places. That is what my proposal was. Indian Academy of Pediatrics being a very huge organization, every district having the branch, we can actually have some group of pediatricians and other specialists come together with the parents of children with Down syndrome and create a you can say, empowering group, right? And start doing certain activities, awareness programs, some camps, health checkup camps, World Down Syndrome Day celebration. We, as a Down Syndrome Care Association, are willing to provide whatever support is required. That is what I said. Unfortunately, from our side, we failed to follow up that, and we didn't give any further communication from the association, from your association. But that still is there. We have a possibility of creating Down syndrome clinics and Down syndrome groups at all the district levels. It will not only help the children with Down syndrome, but their families and the families and the parents. It will help the community as such. It will help us to come up with a lot of, you can say, research data which is not available with us. If you see what research has been done in India and in the country, only at few places, only at 4 places in the country, in major hospitals, there was a research done some few years ago, 20 years ago, and the same data is being used for the country. We don't have any other research data. So that is one thing we can do. And second thing is, there is a, you can say, a complete sense of fulfillment when we are contributing here. So what my proposal was is that individually, whatever you are supposed to do, you are doing. To enhance and update yourself, we are willing to offer that kind of training. I am willing to offer that kind of training as to how to approach a child with Down syndrome for different Down syndrome, for different pediatric associations. Third is, we can create the Down syndrome clinics and Down syndrome groups, special groups at district levels, and start doing certain activities.
So we all can start the local groups and these small activities, and we can come to you for further guidance and some material.
If you need to come to
some
me, I am
ideas.
always there. If you don't come there, it doesn't make any difference, right?
No, some new ideas which
Yes,
work
we are
well
always
for
there.
you, and so we can also do it in our own places.
Yes.
And so in that way, the pediatricians can also get that sense of fulfillment, as you said, and the local parents and the children with Down syndrome, they can also be well helped.
Pediatrician can make a tremendous difference in the world, not only in the world of Down syndrome, but in the world as such.
Yes.
Parents come to the doctors, pediatricians, with their children, and children in the age group, especially from the year 1 to 3. So you can say a period where the whole of life is developed here, right?
Yes.
3 years of first 3 years of life. So not only prescribing, if we really look at the definition of health that we're talking about, physical, mental, and social, we are not talking about any kind of social health. We are talking about mental health very little. We are mainly focusing on the physical health. If we start looking only at Down syndrome first, from the social and the mental perspective, I think there is a tremendous possibility of transforming the country. It's not only Down syndrome.
Yes. So we are nearing the end of the time allotted to us, and we have had a very, very fruitful and useful discussion with you, sir. Thank you so very much. But now I would like to see whether there are any questions.
Yes, sir.
Please, the host or the secretary, if anybody has any questions which are there in the chat box. Have you seen any question there? Or if anybody wants to ask, then one can unmute and ask the question directly with the video on.
Hello.
Yes,
Yes,
please.
ma'am.
Good evening, sir. Is MTP allowed in case high risk reports are indicative of high risk during pregnancy?
No, it's not because of high risk. It is because of definitive diagnosis. See, when we do the screening procedures and we find that the child is at high risk of having a child, the child is at high risk of having Down syndrome, we go for the definitive testing, isn't it?
Okay.
When we do CBS and amniocentesis and then the definitive chromosomal testing like karyotyping or even FISH, and if that confirms that the baby is having Down syndrome, then it is allowed.
Then MTP is allowed. Okay.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Yes, ma'am. Please unmute and ask. Ujjwala Shirsat.
Yes, sir. Sir, I wanted to know what we can counsel regarding the child fertility and the sexual life, because many patients they ask such thing in a very initial period. I
Right.
had kid around 17 to 18 years. I across almost 2 or 3 patients, but the parent were concerned about it. I already disclosed all the supposed to be, but they are not accepting it. So how we should proceed for that, and how we should counsel for that?
Right. So this is one of the very important questions parents have, and that's a concern most of them have. When it comes to the reproductive life, forget about reproductive life, marriage, right? When it comes to marriage. So what we know about Down syndrome and reproduction is that most of the men with Down syndrome are infertile. Most of them, nearly all of them. Females, there is very low fertility. There is a possibility that they can get pregnant, but the risk of having a child with Down syndrome is very high in these cases, more than 50%. Now, with this, like a child with Down syndrome, who will marry with a child with Down syndrome? For sure, either with another Down syndrome or someone
Yeah.
with mental retardation or some disability, right?
Yes,
Now,
yes.
where parents are willing, now child with Down syndrome or the individual with Down syndrome, when is willing and thinking of marrying, consider the development that person has. So in cases of mosaic, this can definitely happen. In cases
Yes.
of regular Down syndrome, it is very difficult that the
Very
child with Down syndrome will think of marrying. In cases of mosaic, yes. Okay. Now, when the parents come up with this question to a doctor, what can be done? My usual answer to this is, if we find the appropriate partner for the person, male or a female, right? And if that other person is, even if having the disability, is mentally sound to take care of the family. To take care of the family, in a sense, at least they two, when they are alone, they should be taking care of each other. In such cases, there is no problem. Now, in India, we have some examples where the children with Down syndrome, they have married.
Yes.
Very rare examples, but there are examples. World over, there are examples that the individuals with Down syndrome, they are married. And there is nothing wrong in that. Provided you explain everything, they're not talking about having children. And even if they talk about having children, the responsibility associated with that is huge. Right? A father with Down syndrome is not going to father a child. A mother with Down syndrome very less likely is going to be a mother, and with a very high risk of having a child with Down syndrome. Despite of all that, are they really capable of dealing with the burdens and the responsibilities associated with marriage? If they are, there is no problem with that.
Thank you. Thank you for me.
Yeah.
So, male with Down syndrome has generally very little chance of any fertility, and female may have some chance. Is it
Yeah,
so?
very little.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
any
Can I
other
talk, sir?
question?
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Yes, Dr. Manjuja.
Can I talk, sir? Yes.
Yes.
Very nice talk, sir. Very heart-touching talk, I should say, Mr. Chopade.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations. And I really like the meaning of celebration. That has gone our mind. So we have to celebrate the life, whatever God has given to us. That was excellent thought out of that. We always say Down children are having extra talent. They are good in swimming and some other art form. They are good listeners, good singer. Is it because of their compensatory attention given by their parents? As you say, they are appearing loving. Is the same thing, or what to do with that? That extra X chromosome is magical?
Yeah. So there is no, it's not extra X, it is extra 21, right? So if you look at what you said right now, and if you observe children with Down syndrome at various ages, you will see that this is not true. Children with Down syndrome till the age of maybe 8, 9, you will see they are so innocent and all that. But thereafter, most of them, they develop attention deficit, hyperactivity disorder, most of them. Today in the program, we had about 100 children, and most of them were so, you can say, unstable. They were unstable. They were hyperactive. They were not paying attention. They were not listening. Most of them were not. Okay. Some of them they do. So there is a variability. Okay. Where you can say the slate, as I said, is empty. There is a tremendous possibility of some growth and development. There is a possibility of love, care, and all that from their side also and from our side also. But when you see some child with Down syndrome with attention the hyperactivity disorder. So today we had one with you can say Alzheimer's also, and you find it very difficult to handle them. Now, in such cases, providing whatever medical treatment is there is what we do. What I advocate is parents' behavioral therapy is must. It is not about the children. You can't counsel the children as such. You can create some discipline around them, but who is going to do that? Parents have to do it. If parents are saying something and they're doing something else, these children copy and they get in the confusion. They are in the world of confusion. Parents बोलते ये नहीं खाना, वो parents वही खाएंगे और इन बच्चों को नहीं देंगे. Parents बोलते मोबाइल नहीं देखना है और वो हमेशा मोबाइल के ऊपर रहेंगे. This is true for all normal children also, but these children are not able to handle it. Right? So what we say about in general about the children with Down syndrome is not the truth all the time. In very few cases, as the child is small, it was true when the children were not living for longer time. Now that as they grow, they also start developing something here. A single insult, mental insult, creates a lot of trouble. They don't know how to handle it. So parents counseling, parents behavior therapy, parents discipline is the most important aspect of dealing in this world.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Very nicely said, sir. Is there anyone who wants to interact with sir or ask some questions?
Hello.
Yes, Dr. Chetna.
Yes, sir. Sir, I have a patient. Actually, he is very old now. He is almost 25 years old. He presented to us with a loose motions history. So he was admitted to the ICU because he was a lot of dehydrated. Then we later come to know he was HIV and HbSAg both positive with Downs. So he was being exploited at his younger age. I just want to know, are there any charts or sign languages that we can explain this kind of kids during their growth periods, that how they are being, they can be protected from all these things?
Right. So this is not a question related to Down syndrome specially.
This was the case of Down syndrome.
I got that. I perfectly got that. But this is not only about Down syndrome. This is about all children, right? So whatever we teach the normal children, the same thing has to be taught to these children in their language. Now, about the spatial signs and symbols, I'm not the spatial teacher, so I can't tell you what kind of language can be used. But trusting that they can learn, if we communicate, this is definitely possible. What is more important is trusting that they can do it. Now, I have a grandson who is 1.5 years old now. And I'll tell you, every day I see some miracle. Miracle in a sense. Like usually we don't expect a child of 1.5 years to do certain things or learn certain things, and he's learning it. How can that happen? We all have that ability. Every child has that ability. These children also have that ability. Most of their ability becomes disability when we start thinking it is not possible. So whatever you can say the ability they have, whether it is less than the normal, if we communicate and keep some patience, it is possible to train them and teach them. So I don't know the signs and symbols specifically, but definitely it is possible.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Anyone else with some question?
Yes.
Yes, Dr. Sandeep.
Yeah.
Yes, Sandeep.
Yeah. How are you?
Yes,
it was a good presentation. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. I've got a little bit of practical questions for our awareness. What are do we have Indian data all across different types of Down syndrome cases where we have a specific medical complications morbidity. That question I put down in the box also, chat box, so that pediatricians are aware. These are the common morbidities or different types of Downs, complication morbidities, congenital and others. And what are the common cause of mortalities in Indian scenario of Down syndrome, morbidities, mortalities, so that we can identify earlier and intervene earlier to to improve the quality of life of Down syndrome. This is a medical complications I'm talking about.
Right. So I must say something like you as a pediatrician and most of you as a neonatologist will have a lot of knowledge, more than knowledge in this regard than me. Regarding the data of various disabilities and morbidities in the children, as I said, we have very few studies available throughout the country. Most of the data that we use to explain the clinical picture of a child with Down syndrome is coming from the Western world. The only huge meta-analysis and the study that was done was by Dr. I.C. Verma. So if you go to the literature and find out, that's the only data we have, which is, you can say, the authentic data talking about the various disabilities, right? So about the, you can say the most of the common reasons for death of the children is, you can say, cardiac diseases, the early deaths, major cardiac diseases. You can say the immunological deficiencies, common infections, and you can say number of other abnormalities. Now, more than that, in my opinion, the major reason for death of these children is negligence. Apart from the medical conditions, negligence on the part of parents and the society is a major reason, where they are kept in the room, they are not taken out, they are not taken to the doctors, they are not taken care of properly, especially when it is a female child. Without the proper support, routine, regular health care support, they are bound to die. That's what my say is in this regard.
So there are two aspects there. On one side, there is a medical negligence also, and there is a social negligence.
Yes.
So they both can impact on the quality of life of this child.
So just to explain this, I'll tell you, Government of India on a request has come up with the early intervention centers at all the district places in the state. Every civil hospital has early intervention center with all the specialists attached, all the equipments and the facilities. Unfortunately, very few people are aware of this facility, and those who are aware, they're not going there. Right. Now, why is this happening? This is happening mainly because people are dealing with something else. They come to the doctor only when it becomes something which is so aggravated in such conditions. Very few parents are coming to the doctors on a regular basis to take care as per the prescribed norms. We know what to do, when to do. So we give a list of the investigations to be done. We give a list of the therapies to be done. Very few people do that. So it's not about, yes.
Do we, on the similar line, as you said, mentioned in the civil hospital, do we have a multidisciplinary team, medical multidisciplinary team, or as multidisciplinary team which is focused on the morbidities, complication of Down syndrome, and any other center, government or private, who can manage this Down syndrome parents and children under one roof medically?
As such, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. So medical multidisciplinary team under one roof to manage from head to toe for the Down syndrome. Do we have a multidisciplinary team in government or private setup in our area?
Specially committed for Down syndrome, it is not there.
Okay.
We have been trying to do this for the last 7-8 years. We are requesting the government and the local organizations and even the CSR to support us to create that. We have a plan, big plan of having all that from prevention to treatment and everything. So this is not happening. So what we are doing is only once a year, we are creating the team of experts, different experts, bringing them together and doing all the checkups. That's all what we are doing right now. But we don't have any committed team as such in private hospital also, government hospital also for dealing with this.
So we need that seriously, so that we can support the Down syndrome child and the families. Then only they can become more aware about the facts, because as you mentioned, they present to the pediatrician and the doctor first. But if they present to the team, which is a multidisciplinary team, then the awareness and the care and the quality of life of the Down child will improve. And of course,
Absolutely.
the other.
That's what my proposal is, Sandeep.
Yeah.
My proposal is, so the child comes first to a pediatrician. And if a pediatrician is in this loop and the pediatrician creates a group of experts at the district place. So from that district, people can go to that team, but they will not go directly to the team. They will go to the pediatrician, and the pediatrician will refer that to the
pediatrician has to refer to that multidisciplinary.
Absolutely. That's the
so
proposal.
that the parents are not confused. The child gets the quality care under one roof.
Absolutely.
They don't go to 10 places. So they are not confused, right? They get a right message in the day one, so that they continue the follow-up of their child under with that multidisciplinary team. And I would say that will give a better outcome for the child and the family. The other aspect is the psychosocial aspect. How many did you come across a lot of learning disorders, psychosocial problems, and behavioral developmental problems for which did you identify a lot of those problems, learning disorder? Because on one aspect we talk about their schooling and development to improve their quality of life. So what I believe in one word, you focus on the ability of the child rather than disability. So how to get 100% out of their ability? So learning disorder, psychosocial problems will impact on their ability.
Yeah, absolutely. So learning disability for sure is there. But when I say it, like, as a child grows, if the parents are creating a space of clearance, a space of purity, there is a possibility of a lot of learning happening. If parents come from it, is not possible. If parents are not attending the child properly, not taking care of the health, then all kinds of disorders are going to happen, including learning disability, including the hyperactivity attention deficit disorder, right? So basically what I intend to focus on is creating the space of purity for the parents, space of acceptance for the parents. If we can create that, parents are, when they come to know that the child has Down syndrome and the child Down syndrome is going to be like this, the child in the future is going to be like this. When we do that, parents are creating so much of huge burden. बच्चे को कुछ नहीं पता है रे, बच्चों को कुछ पता नहीं है कि उसको डाउन सिंड्रोम है, उसको एक्स्ट्रा 21 है, उसको हार्ट है, उसको कुछ नहीं पता है. लेकिन हमारे लिसनिंग में ये होता है, इसको ऐसा है तो ये नहीं करेगा, या इसको ऐसा है तो ऐसा नहीं करना चाहिए, वैसा नहीं करना चाहिए, इसने ये नहीं करना, इससे नहीं होगा. In that space, whatever development is happening, including all the disorders, including learning disorder, is happening in that space.
I'm sorry to interrupt, sir, but the time is already
Yes,
over.
sir. Yes, sir.
And we have had
Thank
extremely
you so much, Sandeep.
discussion.
Thank you.
And now I hand over to either Dr. Brushali or Dr. Pushkar for the final words. Pushkar, yes.
Hello. Yes, on behalf of Maha AP, I would like to thank our National President, Dr. Basavaraja sir, our State President, Dr. Ram Gopal sir, and our Secretary General, Dr. Amol Pawar. Also, MMC Observer, Dr. Gosavi sir, and Dr. Jitendra Gawane sir, Dr. Manjusha Sherkar ma'am. Most importantly, I would like to thank Dr. Chopde sir, who has taken his time out of his busy schedule on this very important day. Dr. Jayan Shah sir for conducting such a nice question and answer session. Rushali Sarode ma'am, Pallavi ma'am for backup and support, and Dr. Vishal Raut for wonderful flyer. And most important also, all our Maha AP members for attending the session. Thank you, sir.
I would like to say thank you to everyone. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. Thank you for giving us opportunity to create awareness about Down syndrome and to create some possibility of transformation in the world of Down syndrome in Maharashtra. Thank you so much.
Very enlightening it was, sir. Really.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir.
Stop kara, madam.
Amol,
Thank you, Chopde sir.
Thank you, Dr. Amol.
Yes.
It was great. So, Dr. Jain sir,
Yes, sir.
so initially I thought of like having questions which are, so I just posted the questions, right? Initially, but then the questions you created, these are very, you can say lively questions, and there was
Right,
like
sir, right,
excellent
right.
experience.
It was so great from Jain Chatar that he formulated the questions.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. So,
Thank you, sir.
should we call it a
Well,
day?
Shah, sir. Very
Yes,
well
yes,
taken.
ma'am.
Very nice.
Thank you so much.
Very welcome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Sir, we'll talk with Dr. G.V. Basavaraja, and this year we will have some concrete plan. And if you could chip in, I will connect with Dr. G.V. Basavaraja, sir, National President.
Please.
And this year he is on mission. So we are all going in community and explaining the all the CIP days and weeks are there. So anemia was there, then obesity, then now Downs, then next comes autism. So we all are going to community at community level. We all branches, means almost 450 branches of IIP. Out of that, I think more than 200 branches, they are conducting these activities, and at community level, these activities are also appreciated by other allopathic colleagues and some people also. At school level also, we are carrying out some activities, prevention and control like that. So for this, if we will plan some meeting and then we'll come out with concrete plan in next 2 to 3 months, sir.
Please let me know. Thank you so much. That would be really nice.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Jain Shah, sir. Thank you.